Hey and welcome to the daily Manchester United news show. Let's begin with our daily news. Man United totally confident with Marcel Sabitzer's performances, Bayern very open to selling him. Manchester United are totally confident with the performances of Marcel Sabitzer, who is likely to be sold by Bayern Munich this summer. Journalist Florian Plettenberg claims the Austrian made the surprise loan move to United before the January transfer deadline, and he has already played a big role for the club in the Premier League. Sabitzer made his debut off the bench against Crystal Palace and has since started against Leeds home and away, with Casemiro being suspended for both games. With Christian Eriksen injured, Sabitzer should continue to remain a regular in midfield with his creativity, and it appears United are already pondering a long-term deal. Plettenberg claims that United's board are totally confident over Sabitzer's displays. They are impressed with his physical strength since making his debut for the club. It's added that Bayern are very open to selling the Austria international. They plan to replace him by signing RB Leipzig midfielder Konrad Laimer on a free transfer this summer. United are eyeing a young marquee midfielder during the summer transfer window, and signing Sabitzer on a permanent basis could pave the way for multiple departures. Scott McTominay and Fred have been linked with the Newcastle United and Paris Saint-Germain respectively, and in our review, they could be sold as part of the midfield rebuild. Sabitzer is still fairly young in his United career, but he has caught the eye with his strong physical presence and ability to create key chances with his quality distribution. The Austrian has 3 more months to prove his credentials. If he can start making direct goal contributions, United should be convinced to keep him next season. Sabitzer is currently valued at 20 million euros by Transfer Market. At that price, he would prove a bargain signing for United. The big question is whether he would accept a reduced role. Alejandro Garnacho praised after goal for Manchester United versus Leeds United. Alejandro Garnacho had a miserable time last week against Leeds in midweek at Old Trafford when he openly expressed frustration with his misfortune in front of goal. The teenager was seen banging the turf in frustration and was substituted after an hour. It simply wasn't his night. This only made it even more pleasing when he stepped up and scored a crucial goal against Leeds at the weekend at Ellen Road. Garnacho came off the bench to score the second goal in a 2-0 win and looked very pleased with himself after scoring his third goal for the club and first of 2023. Garnacho is only 18 years old, and this time last year he was still playing for the under-18s in the FA Youth Cup, a competition he led United to winning. Right now, he is a regular under Erik ten Hag, featuring for a team competing near the top of the Premier League. Imagine telling us all that a year ago. The youngster's ability jumps out when you watch him. He can be an electrifying player who has impacted games with 4 assists added to his 3 goals this season. Garnacho was praised by former Premier League striker Darren Bent, who told Ben Foster's YouTube channel he was impressed with the teenager. Bent said, "Wow, there is no telling how good he is going to be. He looks unstoppable. He is not a traditional wide man who puts crosses in. He is thinking goal first, create second. It was a really clever finish." Garnacho appears to have a real drive to succeed, which means he is always pushing himself and is not just satisfied being in the first team. He wants to be the star. It's a determination once shared by his idol Cristiano Ronaldo, who he played alongside briefly earlier in the season. Garnacho could have a bigger role ahead in United's season, with games against Barcelona and the Carabao Cup final later this month. This weekend was a great time for Garnacho to get back amongst the goals again and lift his confidence. Manchester United resigned to losing money on former Leicester City defender Harry Maguire. Manchester United are resigned to the fact that they will lose money on the sale of former Leicester City star Harry Maguire. According to Mail Plus, the Red Devils signed the centre-back in the summer of 2019 from the Foxes for £80 million. However, the Old Trafford side will likely get half of what they paid if they decide to part ways with the 29-year-old. At the moment, the England international is one of the players who could be on his way out of the Manchester-based club. Therefore, it remains to be seen what the future holds for the defender. Initially, Maguire was one of the go-to players for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A few months into his stint at the Old Trafford side, the centre-back was handed the captain's armband. The England international was a reliable pro. Unfortunately, since last season, he has been underwhelming. The 29-year-old has made several errors in the backline. At the start of Erik ten Hag's reign in Manchester, Maguire started Man United's first two matches. However, after the losses to Brighton and Brentford, the Dutch manager has preferred the partnership of Varane and Lisandro Martinez. The French and Argentine nationals have formed a solid duo in our defense. We have looked more calm and more composed at the back, especially with the former Ajax star's exceptional ability on the ball. Our captain has had to settle for a place on the bench for most of the campaign. The England international was given a rare start in the Red Devils' previous match against Leeds United, but he was not convincing. It would not come as a surprise if the 29-year-old decided to leave the Old Trafford side next summer for more game time. However, will the club be able to recoup a good amount? Only time will tell. Sky Sports pundit insist Man United are in the Premier League title race. Former Arsenal striker Kevin Campbell believes Manchester United are in the mix for the Premier League title following their victory at Leeds United on Sunday. The Red Devils returned to winning ways with a 2-0 triumph at Ellen Road. With the result, they have reduced the gap to leaders Arsenal to 5 points, though they have played 2 games more. Speaking on Sky Sports, Campbell has now said that the club are seriously in the title race, with manager Erik ten Hag already getting the best out of his squad. He added that Marcus Rashford is in excellent form at the moment, and United have got strength and depth, having won at Leeds, with key players being rested. He said, "Ten Hag is really getting a tune out of this Manchester United side. Marcus Rashford is on fire. They are in the mix for the title, make no mistake about it. They have played 2 games more than Arsenal, who are top, but their form right now, you have to take them seriously. They have got strength and depth. They can afford to leave major players out of the squad and still go to Ellen Road and win 2-0. It wasn't convincing, but to win there 2-0 is very difficult to do. I take Manchester United very seriously now." The Red Devils are currently 2 points behind Manchester City, who have a game in hand. They are a further 3 adrift of the Gunners, who have played 2 games less. The top 2 still have to face each other twice, and this is where United could benefit. If City manage to take points out of Arsenal, it could put United right in the title mix. United would still need to have a perfect run over the next 3 months, which appears a huge challenge at the moment, considering the injuries taking a toll in the squad. There has also been an over-reliance on Marcus Rashford to find the back of the net. If the goals dry up for him, United may struggle to keep up in the league title pursuit. Qatari investors preparing imminent bid to purchase Manchester United. A group of Qatari investors are prepared to make an imminent bid to purchase Manchester United from the Glazer family, Bloomberg report. The Glazers have hired the Rainey Group as their financial advisors, and they have set a soft deadline on February 17 to evaluate bids for the club. Sir Jim Ratcliffe recently confirmed that his company are weighing up an offer, but it seems the most genuine interest is coming from Qatar. The Qatar Investment Authority are set to support a group of investors who are expected to make a formal bid to buy United this week. The QIA already own Paris Saint-Germain through a separate entity in Qatar Sports Investment, but this is unlikely to hamper the move. It has been reported that UEFA won't put any competition restrictions on United, provided they are a separate entity with a different structure, personal, and won't be influenced directly by QIA. A precedent has already been set with Red Bull Salzburg and RB Leipzig playing in the Champions League this season, while being owned by the same sports drink manufacturing firm in Red Bull. The Glazers are set to demand at least £5 billion to end their long-term association with United. This would be a record fee for any sports team, and it's expected to ward off interest from individual investors. Hence, any takeover has to involve some sort of consortium. Sir Jim has spoken with banking firms such as Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan to finance the takeover, but this may not be beneficial. The loans could limit funds spent on the club. Hence, United need a wealthy group that can spend from their own pockets without any hesitation. This would help in transforming the squad as well as improve Old Trafford. With the current state of the stadium, it could take at least £1 billion to modernize it, while a complete makeover could cost an upwards of £2 billion. It's certainly a huge investment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says being environmentally damaged made him a Liverpool fan as a kid. Former Manchester United player and manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has admitted to being a Liverpool fan as a kid. Solskjaer was dismissed from his role as Manchester United manager in November 2021 and has kept a low profile since. The former striker made a rare appearance on a podcast speaking to James Richardson's Kings of Europe podcast, reminiscing on his Champions League winning goal in 1999. Solskjaer reflected on growing up as a Liverpool fan in Norway, describing himself as a product of the 80s, simply supporting the most successful team at the time. He said, "I must have been environmentally damaged. We had much of the derby every Saturday, and Liverpool were the better team in the 80s. Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush, and yes, I followed Liverpool, one of these supporters that just followed because they won everything. Hard enough to say as a Manchester United player, but they were the better team in the 80s. Despite this, Solskjaer says he jumped at the chance to sign for Manchester in '96 and was confident he could make an impact, which he did, scoring on his debut against Blackburn, netting 18 goals in his first season in 33 games. He said, "Turning round after scoring and seeing Eric Cantona coming celebrating, I think that was a big shock, and welcome to England, and here you are. I used to adore Eric. He was the catalyst, the leader of the team. Suddenly, he comes and thanks me for scoring a goal and saving a point." 3 years later, Solskjaer scored the biggest goal in Manchester United's history when he netted the injury time winner against Bayern Munich in the Champions League final, clinching an unprecedented treble. Speaking about his mindset after Teddy Sheringham's equalizer, he said, "I don't think any of us thought we'll score another one. In my mind, I was ready for 30 minutes of extra time definitely." Solskjaer would score the goal to clinch the game minutes later, breaking Bayern hearts and sending Manchester United fans into dreamland. "Teddy flicks it on and luckily I got a big toe," was how Solskjaer described his miraculous late winner. He said, "The overriding feeling after the game was happiness for manager Sir Alex Ferguson, commenting, 'I remember thinking, you deserve this, Sir Alex. We did it for him.' You could see the joy in his eyes." Italian legend Marco Tardelli blast Paul Pogba as Juventus' problem now. Manchester United should probably be relieved the club did not sell Paul Pogba in the summer, releasing him instead, because if Pogba was sold, Juventus would be knocking on United's door with a receipt and asking for their money back. The Frenchman is yet to play a single minute for the Serie A side since joining in any competition. Italian legend Marco Tardelli last night blasted Pogba for having a destabilizing effect on Juventus' season, remarking that he is their problem now. Tardelli was quoted by Tutto Mercato Web. "Pogba hasn't played since April 2022 when he was still in Manchester. It's now a problem for Juve. We don't know when he will return and we don't know what he wants to do. Pogba goes skiing while his teammates are struggling with big problems with Juve. One does not operate when the club wants, but he decides the timing because he is afraid of losing the World Cup. Today, Pogba is a big problem that the Bianconeri must solve. The situation also demonstrates that Juve do not have clear enough ideas. It's not possible to have a player like that on the payroll. His behavior towards his teammates isn't fair either. It annoys me." Manchester United fans will be having flashbacks of Pogba's time at the club, listening to Tradelli's comment, Pogba suffered an injury for Juventus in the pre-season and then focused his recovery on the World Cup rather than his club and ended up missing the tournament anyway. Time is running out for Pogba to have an impact on Juventus season. By time he returns, it could take a while for him to recover his match sharpness, but that's not a problem for Manchester United to worry about. Juventus must attempt to figure it out. I will be uploading daily Manchester United news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.